Hello Scorpio and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements looking at your connection between you and the person that you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. We'll be pulling for all three sides of the connection, so we'll look at your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it. The concept being that there are three sides to every story, so we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section will be looking at what is the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. On that note, and especially if you're a cross-watcher, just know that this whole reading can be reversed. If that is the case for you, that is totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Scorpio, we're going to start with looking at overall energy through the oracle cards first, and then we'll dive deeper into the story with tarot as we progress. So we're looking, Scorpio, at your side of this connection to the person that you are dealing with. You have boundaries. Ooh. Oh, wild card. I feel like there's something I still am needing to see. I feel like I need one or two more. Oh. Reciprocity. Okay. And then you have confusion here. Right now, I feel like this connection feels really up in the air to you. I feel like you're not really sure what to expect from this person. I do feel you kind of see them as a wild card. However, I do feel like there is a desire here for things to eventually work out. But I also feel at the same time, and I love this energy that you're standing in, because it kind of feels like this energy of, I'm not going to accept less than what I deserve. Obviously, I do feel like you want that to be from this person, but I think also you're not really willing to lower your standards or your expectations in your relationships. And even if it means like losing this person. And I think that that's a really powerful energy that you're standing in. It's kind of like love me well or leave me alone kind of energy. And I really like it. This person's energy toward you, Scorpio. But I do feel, because then you had confusion, I do feel like you're still having a hard time like making sense of everything going on with this connection too. So this person's energy toward you. Detachment. I feel like in general, this person just kind of gives the vibe of being very detached, almost like they come off like they don't care, but I feel like they do care. I can already kind of tell. This feels like a little bit of like ego, maybe even some mind games here. Yeah, okay. So then they have boundaries, but then they have this dream come true card. See, this boundaries, this is alluding to your side here. Okay, see, here's what's interesting about this person's energy is they're sitting in this energy of detachment, yet they have this dream come true card. So they still very much view you as like a dream come true, something that feels like it has a lot of potential. But what's interesting is I feel like, so you obviously have, you have these boundaries in place. You have these standards when it comes to what you're desiring. And I feel like this person is pretty used to coasting in their relationships, almost like used to connections that don't require a lot of them, where they're, you know, able to take more than they give, maybe surface level connections that don't require them to get very deep. And I feel like this connection is something that really challenges them in a lot of ways, which is a good thing. It just kind of depends on whether or not they rise to the challenge, right? I think that they do know that you're not going to accept less here, but I also feel at the same time that their insecurities are starting to come out too, where it's like, well, am I, you know, going to be able to be enough? Or, you know, am I even good enough for Scorpio at all? Which I feel like is why they're sitting in this attachment energy, because it's like almost easier for them not to deal with it at all than to face a lot of these things. Truth of the connection between Scorpio and this person. My goodness, truth of this connection between Scorpio and this person. You have this drama card with this mask here. Robotic. And then manipulation. Okay. See, I felt this kind of like mind games energy on their side for sure. And I don't feel like this person is being like, is trying to be like manipulative in the sense of like trying to do harm or damage. I feel like this person lacks vulnerability and authenticity, especially with this drama card here. Like this is usually the the energy of wearing a mask. Robotic is kind of this energy of being very detached from their emotions. And because of that, since they struggle with being like, I don't feel like they could come to you and say, I have feelings for you. I want to work this out. I recognize that I made mistakes, or I recognize there are things that I do wrong, and let's work through this. You know, like, they struggle with that level of vulnerability and authenticity. And so I feel like they play games instead. And if there's anything that I've learned about like healthy connections, is that there are no games involved at all. It's just very much straightforward. This is how I feel. This is how you feel. And if that aligns, great. If it doesn't, like, let's move on kind of thing. And it feels like this person's lack of vulnerability has them kind of, like trying to play mind games. But what's interesting is I feel like you're not having it. I feel like you're like, this is not what I want. This is not like, I see the potential. I would really like for this connection to work, but like, I'm not dealing with this. And I think that that's what I really like about the energy that you're sitting in, is it just kind of feels, Scorpio, like you're really tired of it. You're tired of the BS, and it kind of feels like you're not really going to allow it. Which is going to obviously challenge this person, right? It's like, get it together, you know, or don't, but I'm not going to like essentially waste my time, I guess, on this if it's not going to be, if you're not going to open up or be vulnerable or be real, you know, whatever the case is. Overall theme of this reading between Scorpio and this person. It's almost like you're standing in your power in this connection, and this person doesn't really know what to do about that. Overall theme of this reading for Scorpio. Oh my goodness. These cards in this reading have just been all over the place. All right, if you don't think of me. And I feel like this is kind of an assumption that both people are making. I do feel like both people are assuming that the other person doesn't really care, when in reality, I do feel like you care. I feel like you want this to work at the end of the day, but I just also feel like you're trying to protect your energy and your peace here, which is kind of why I feel like you are holding strong on your boundaries. Overall theme of this between Scorpio and this person. It's never over with there will be a return. You know, I think that this person has a tendency of being very inconsistent in your life. And I think that they really do, they have this dream come true card, right? So they see this connection as something that is very, very aligned with what it is that they desire, but it just feels like they're acting a little bit childish. Like, that's the best way that I can put it. Obviously, we haven't looked into tarot yet. I don't know the reason behind that or like what's really going on, but at the like just core of the overall energy, it feels like it's like they're just kind of acting a little bit childish. Like, if you love someone, show up for that love, like be honest and vulnerable when it comes to that. If you don't, then that's fine. Like, I'll find what I need, but I'm not going to keep doing this with you, I think is kind of the energy that you're in. I do feel like, and this there will be a return card has been coming out in a lot of readings this week. And I do feel like there's going to be some return of some sort of like karmic lesson or cycle, maybe in the form of a person, maybe in the form of a cycle within a connection. And I feel like right now is a time to really not bend on what it is that you deserve and like continue to stand in that power of like, come at me, right? Or like, don't come at me at all kind of thing. Because I think that is what is ultimately going to lead you, because we don't close cycles when we end a cycle. We close cycles whenever we're faced with the opportunity to repeat that cycle and we choose not to. So I feel like you've been stuck in a cycle with this person for a while, and I do feel like you're kind of over it, which is a good thing. And I feel like the more that you stand in your power, the more you are going to break this cycle for good, and that's ultimately going to lead you to the love that you deserve, whether it exists in this person or somebody better. And I think that that's where you need to know, like, that is where your power lies. When you're willing to say, I will accept absolutely nothing less than what I deserve, and I would like that to be you, but if that's not you, that's fine, because I know that I'm going to attract what's really meant for me. Like, when you're able to stand in that power, you really do start to create miracles in your life when it comes to attracting what it is that you really deserve. But let's dive into this a little bit deeper, Scorpio. You have reciprocity with a wild card. Scorpio's side of the connection. It's so interesting because, you know, I said the cards were kind of being weird. It feels like actually on your side of things, they're like the energy is pretty calm, grounded, and it feels like on their side of things, the energy is really chaotic and like not so grounded, which I feel like is kind of a pretty good indication of like how you guys are feeling. Like, I feel like this person is starting to lose control because you are standing in your power. It's like they can't just do whatever they want. Like, they have to act in a way that you deserve. And I feel like that's something that almost intimidates them in a way. Not that you are being intimidating, oh my goodness, or that you're asking for too much, but more so that you're not taking any shit anymore. And I'm kind of blown away by the energy in this. And I feel like, so you have this Ace of Swords. It kind of feels like you're standing in the middle of a breakthrough. And, you know, I'm talking about standing in your power and, you know, having these strong boundaries. I knew we were going to see this. It doesn't mean that you don't have anxiety and stress about this situation. It doesn't mean that it's easy. It just means that you're doing it anyway. And I think that that's where we really do step into our power, is in the face of uncertainty and insecurity and all of those things. Scorpio, this is truly really incredible energy. Anyway, in the face of insecurity, we choose to stand in our power anyway. It's almost like you're seeing this person very clearly too. I feel like you had rose-colored glasses on in terms of like who you wanted them to be, and I feel like you're seeing them for who they really are, and you obviously see that potential, and you love everything that this could be if this person would kind of just, I mean, for lack of a better word, just kind of grow up a little bit, because I do feel like there is love here. I feel like there's desire here. But I also feel like for the first time, maybe in this connection or in this cycle, you're seeing your worth and your value more than you are placing this person on a pedestal. And oh my gosh, Scorpio, you should be so proud of yourself, because with the Hangman, it kind of feels like you're letting go and you're saying, I would like this to work. I would like things to pan out, in a certain way, but I'm not going to sacrifice myself for that to be the case. And I think that it's really beautiful energy, to be honest with you. Yeah, there's the Seven of Wands standing in your power. Doesn't mean it's not triggering. It doesn't mean it's not hard. And I think that that's the thing too, is like there's this part of you that is obviously still very drawn to this connection, and you want this person to show up right? Like you still, like I said, you still have that desire, but you're not letting that override you. This energy that you're in right now, this is what attracts the love that you deserve. In order for us to be able to align with what it is that we deserve, we have to show up for it before it even exists. Meaning that a lot of times we have to set boundaries with people that we love so deeply, but that at the same time, we're not going to accept less from, even though that love is there. And it's loving ourselves just as much as we love others, and allowing ourselves to be the priority. And not in the sense where it's like screw other people's needs, right? The goal is to love yourself well without harming others, but to also love others well without harming yourself. It's finding that balance. And I feel like that's what you're doing. It's like you're loving yourself well, even if it means losing people that you love too. Obviously you don't want to lose them, but at the same time, I feel like pretty fed up with how things have been, with, how this person has been showing up. And I gotta tell you, Scorpio, I'm speaking to a collective. It feels a little bit personal, but I'm speaking to a collective who's really been doing the work. Again, the Nine of Swords is still there. There's maybe some anxious energy about it, some stress about it, but that's okay. That's the whole thing, showing up in the midst of the stress and the anxiety and the insecurity. Because, yeah, it feels like you spent a lot of time dealing with a lot of BS from this person. And it feels like you did that because there was a lot of love here. And you're now in this energy of breaking the cycle of doing that. And, like, really, really, really proud of you guys right now. This is a really hard energy to embody. Okay, this person's energy toward you, Scorpio, detachment with dream come true. They definitely care more than they're leading on. That's for sure. As soon as I get into this energy, the cards just start getting really chaotic. The Page of Wands in reverse with the World. There's that childish energy. The Nine of Wands. See, this is where I feel like you're needing to be cautious, because they do want this connection. I feel like they see it as something that is very rare. Literally, Three of Cups. They want it, but they want it to be the same as it was before. And I think that that's where you've got to be careful to make sure that you don't allow yourself to fall back into the cycle, just because the closer we get, you're standing in your power, and that's fantastic. And I don't want to take away from that. But the closer we get to closing out a cycle, right, the harder it is to do that. The harder it is to take what we've learned and to really apply it to our life, because things start to feel really real. We start to experience all of the feelings again, and all of the draw that we have toward, certain people and certain cycles in the first place. I feel like this person is still kind of coming from a place of being a little bit childish here, and not in the sense that, I don't know. Yeah, it just feels like there's a lack of growth. Hang on, let me get more, though. This person's energy toward you. I felt that because there's the Ace of Swords in reverse. See, you're saying things clearly, and they're still not. Hang on, let me get one more. Eight of Swords, and then the Two of Cups here. So this person does have love for this connection, but then there's that Page of Pentacles in reverse. And the Page of Pentacles in reverse to me always represents, not always, but usually represents this meaning of like not being ready for something, like not being ready for an opportunity, not being ready for whatever, something. And it feels like this person isn't ready for love. And what I mean by that isn't that they don't want it or that they don't see the value in what you have to provide, but almost like they haven't done the work to be able to show up for it. I always, typically give the analogy of like wanting to run a marathon, but doing absolutely no training. You don't run at all. You've never, really ran much in your life. And you show up on marathon day, you're not going to make it. You're going to fail, right? That's the same kind of thing, because loving somebody and wanting a relationship to work and actually showing up for that love and doing the work both on yourself but also in the connection is necessary in order for healthy relationships to really be able to be sustained. And because it's about growing together. Healthy relationships will require both people to be willing to grow, because if not, if you have one person growing and the other person not, you're eventually going to outgrow them, right? You're going to get to a place where you're like, this doesn't align with me anymore. So in order for healthy relationships to be sustained, it's a partnership of saying we're showing up both for ourselves and for the connection, for the long run, for the long haul. And I'm not saying all connections that are meant for you have to be long term, but I do really think that what I'm kind of gathering from this person is they're not doing the work. They're not taking accountability. They're not doing the growth. They're still kind of playing mind games. And that energy is always going to lead them to surface level, inauthentic connections that aren't going to be able to be sustained. Because if they're not willing to do the work, then eventually that connection isn't going to work, because the cycle is going to repeat. And I feel like that's where you're kind of saying do the work or get out. Maybe not so aggressively, but I do feel like you're kind of tired of where this person is at, as you should be, because you do deserve somebody who shows up for the connection, who shows up to love you, who shows up to grow with you and to invest not just in the connection, but in themselves, so they can invest in the connection in a healthy way. And it feels like this person is very trapped, almost in a prison of their own making. And I don't feel like they want to change. I feel like they want the connection, but they want it in a way that's easy. They want it in a way where they can just kind of take what, you have to give, but they don't really have to show up. They want that medal for the marathon, for completing a marathon, but they don't actually want to run the marathon. And that isn't fair, right? You deserve somebody, and there are people out there who will show up for the love for you. And maybe that is this person later on, but as things stand, it doesn't feel like they've done a lot of changing. It feels like they're kind of used to the push and pull unhealthy dynamics in relationships. And I feel like that's why you're really being pushed to stand in your power. It almost is like Spirit has a bit of a warning here for you about this connection. Like, you've come so far and you've done so much work on yourself, and you're truly standing in your power in a way that you maybe never really have before. Don't let this person ruin that. Don't let this person push you out of your power. You can stumble, you can question, you can do whatever you feel is necessary. But I just feel like, if you're standing in this energy of like, come, love me well or leave me alone, stick to that energy, because like I said, that is what is going to lead you to the right people, to the right person. I promise you. They really say that in order to find the person that's meant for you, you have to weave out the people who aren't. And the quicker that we learn to do that, the quicker that we attract the love that's really meant for us. It's just hard when we really want the people who aren't meant for us, or who ultimately aren't capable of being what it is that we deserve, to be the right people for us. And I definitely feel that. I think that concept comes up a lot when you believe you're dealing with a twin flame, especially when you start to think like it has to be them, or else I'm never going to be happy, or I'm going to settle, or I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. That is never true. No one person holds the key to your happiness except for you. So if somebody else is giving you signs that they're not capable of being what you need, that is a direct message from the universe that that person isn't meant for you, that they're not the right person for you at the time. And so I think that that's where, you know, you can repeat the cycle with this person, or you can keep standing in your power and say, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going down this road. I want to see, because the only real apology is acceptance or acknowledgement of behavior and changing behavior, is being able to say, I messed up. Here's what I did to mess up, and I'm making an active changes and taking active steps to be different, to show up different. Otherwise, it's not an apology at all. It's really just manipulation, because an apology without change behavior is just manipulation. One of the best things I learned, because that's them just saying, you know, whatever they need to say to get back in your good graces, but then not actually having the intention to back that up. And you deserve people who show up, who don't just love you, aren't just infatuated with you, but who show up for that love, because loving you is easy, okay? You are a lovable individual, Scorpio. Showing up for that love is what you deserve. And if somebody isn't willing to put in the work to do that, just like because at the end of the day, you're not asking for anything more than what you're doing, right? You want to show up to love people well, and you deserve the exact same love that you have to give. I promise you. So in between this connection, you have manipulation with drama. I'm going to dive deeper into this in the extended, looking at the deeper purpose of the connection, the best way for you to move forward in alignment with your higher self. Any information for that is in the description box below. Thank you so much, Scorpio, as always, for your support of my channel. I obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Scorpio.